Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Saturday conversation. Very good to have with us this morning Peggy Jackson, who's recently moved to Fordingbridge, and you may well have seen her at different services over the previous weeks. So, Peggy, welcome to Fordingbridge, and I thought it would be good if you could start by telling us how you come to be here.
Well, thank you very much. It's a bit daunting, this prospect of talking about yourself. Well, I come to be here on a series of coincidences, really. I'm living in a Church of England pension board house that I rent. And I didn't know until 2019 where I would be living as a tenant of the pension board. So I had to choose a house somewhere that looked nice and go for it. So that was 2 years ahead, and I landed up here.
Right. Was that really your first visit to Fordingbridge? You'd not been here before?
I hadn't at all, and I don't know this part of the world before either.
Do you feel you've chosen well, or had something chosen for you well, Peggy?
Well, it's come out very well.
Yes.
Who knows? I think maybe the Holy Spirit's at work. God's hand is in it, because it's always been the case that since I came in ministry, I've lived in odd places I wasn't expecting to live, and just moved the job and so on. This is rather like another example of that.
Yes, I see. Yeah.
But it's come out very nicely.
Yeah. Good. Well, I'd like to ask you what's important for you now about Fordingbridge later, but perhaps it'd be good to start by telling us a little bit about your background and a sort of potted biography, if you will, just some things you think listeners will be interested in.
That's right. Okay. Born and brought up in Loughborough, where I learnt to ring bells as a teenager.
Yes.
And to drink bitter, which is the other thing that goes with bell ringing. University in Oxford doing history. And then I moved to London, became a chartered accountant, because it paid a little bit more than being a lawyer at the time. Moved to Edinburgh. I married a Scot and moved to Edinburgh. And then the world changed for me. Divorce came, and it was pretty traumatic for me. So everything changed up there. My daughter had been born by that stage, and crept into the back of a church and rediscovered a faith. So it was a huge change. Turned everything upside down, and a few years later, even more so, because it tumbled me into ministry and to go for training and ordination training. So I came back to England to do that. Trained again in Oxford, and then curacies in Derbyshire, Ilkeston. Hemel Hempstead, Newtown, was the team vicar. A team rector in Southwark Diocese, in Mortlake and East Sheen, West London. And then again, a total out of the blue phone call invited me to go and think about becoming an Archdeacon in Llandaff in South Wales. So Cardiff was the next place. And I was there for 12 years until I retired and came here. So a whole series of very odd circumstances, but pretty much all over the UK, apart from Northern Ireland. I haven't been there yet.
Yes, almost every country. But it sounds a very varied and interesting progression through different places of Scotland, England, and Wales. Peggy. And now Fordingbridge. What have you enjoyed about Fordingbridge thus far?
Oh gosh, it's been lovely. It's been lovely to come to. I was looking for somewhere that was a small place in a nice part of the country, somewhere with a history, and sort of access to travelling for the families in London. So most of my family's in South England somewhere. So that's what brought me here, and it's proved more than up to that task. It's been lovely. People have been very, very friendly, and that's something you can't know ahead of time, but you hope for, of course. Both in church and in the community. I've done the obvious things of joining the choral society and the museum friends and the history society and so on, which helps to settle you in. But people have been very, very welcoming, and it's been lovely just getting to know the place.
Good. You mentioned history. I mean, obviously history important to you in studying it in your first degree, but history of Fordingbridge too. You enjoy coming to a town with a history. Yes.
Yes, that was a big bonus to see the museum actually.
Yes.
When I first came to see that, there was a museum. And,
yes.
Yes, local history certainly has a great fascination for me, ever since school days, really.
Yes.
And I also very much engage with trying to sort my family history out, which is a sort of endless nightmare task, of course, of hours and hours of poring over baptism and burial records and so on.
Yes.
But that keeps me going in any spare moments I have at the moment.
Yeah.
One day I shall write it up.
Yeah. Oh, good. Peggy, I guess being a busy cleric and particularly as an archdeacon, it must have been quite a moment to retire and come to a place where you don't know people, and have all sorts of choices before you, I suppose, and time where you can choose what you want to do. Tell us about that. How's that experience of retirement been? It's comparatively recent, of course, isn't it? But are you adjusting to it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Well, it's 6 months. 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
I was advised by the bishop in Llandaff, June Osborne, of course, came as.
Of course, from Salisbury, yes.
Yeah, so she was super, and still is super. She said you shouldn't look to do anything for 6 months.
Yes.
So to get out of clerical working mode and take stock and think, and certainly it's been that for me, and it's really quite. Oh, I'm going to pause because my screen has gone. Hang on, it's back. Was I on all the time?
I saw you, Peggy. I must say, yeah.
Sorry, I pressed something.
Yeah.
I'll keep my hands on it. So it's been really super to it's like starting the vocational journey all over again.
Yes.
Like a reset.
Yes.
Because it gives the opportunity to. I've really enjoyed worshipping, just being in the worship with people and attending worship and not being responsible for it.
Indeed, yes, so, I can understand that feeling. Yeah,
it's like a reset, really.
Yes.
Of life and ministry and what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes.
So I also then am trying to give space to allow God to put the next thing down that's going to happen. It's bound to be a surprise, because it always is. So it's no good trying to look for it and look for it. You just have to wait on it, which I'm incredibly bad at doing. I get very impatient and trying to fill up my time. But that's what I'm trying to do at the moment.
Yeah. So have you discovered this early any new interests and things to do with your time, Peggy, that you enjoy?
Well, I've picked up the threads of the things I know I already have enjoyed doing. So I've joined the Museum Friends and the Choral Society singing and so on.
Yes, yes.
I've discovered Compton Abbas is the nearest that's with a very nice flying club there, so I go flying there.
Oh no, tell us about this, because you have an unusual hobby there which people will be interested in, I'm sure.
Well, I've got a private pilot's license.
Wow. Yeah.
Which I've had since 2008, 10 years, 12 years.
That's remarkable. So where do you fly from, Peggy?
Compton Abbas.
Sorry, the Compton Abbas you mentioned. And I didn't know there was a field flying.
Near Shaftesbury. It just managed to make contact with them again, and I should soon be going up on my own. You have to, if you have a gap, you have to spend a little time with the instructor just getting back up to speed.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm just about to finish that, and then I shall be out and about.
Yes.
And it was just one of these things I just decided to do. Always wanted to go into the air, couldn't afford it, hadn't got the time.
Yeah.
And about 10 years ago, I thought, well, hang it, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Went off to, it was then White Waltham near Maidenhead, and just walked in the door really and said, I want to learn to fly.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And they said, come for a practice lesson. I said, well, of course, yes, but I want to learn to fly. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
It's a lovely thing to do. When you're up in the air, you can't do anything else but think about the flying.
Yes.
So whatever is in your mind and what you're worrying about at other times, forget it. You're just thinking about how you're going to get down.
You've got to give your whole attention to
yeah.
Do you get the chance to look out the window and look at the scenery?
Yes, as well. Yes, yeah.
Yes.
And it's lovely. I mean, that's the thing that's so get the buzz. I think it's just being able to see so far.
Yeah.
So much. Yeah.
I can imagine sort of looking out over Salisbury Plain and over the New Forest and over the coast around here would be rather wonderful.
Yes, yes. I've done the last little navigation I did was just down to the coast and back again.
Yes.
Around Bournemouth. Well, back over Bournemouth, actually.
Yeah.
But,
Returning to Earth, Peggy, any other particular interests that you enjoy? You've mentioned a number already, but a little bird told me something about circle dancing.
Oh, indeed, yes, yes. That's something I've done for years.
Yes.
Me and my friend just bought the book tapes, and it was tapes in those days, and taught ourselves. We had a little group and we taught ourselves to dance.
Yeah.
Circle dancing, it's wonderful. It's a way of worship and prayer, really.
Yes.
So there are plenty of secular groups who do a lot of circle dancing, but they're very good. But what I'm really interested in is the spirituality of it. It carries a tremendous spirituality, which is opens up new possibilities. Is
that to do with rhythm and slowing down, movement?
Yeah. It's like a physical mantra.
Yes.
So where a mantra in prayer just takes you, or teze, singing, music. Takes you in very simple rhythms or simple melodies, simple steps. So circle dancing essentially is very simple steps.
Yes.
Repeated over and over.
Yeah.
So that you stop worrying about what your feet are doing. You're not trying to sort of make the perfect shape.
Yeah.
But you allow your body then to carry the prayer.
Interesting. So just as a chant occupies the mind and the spirit, then this is something that occupies your body, and it's
exactly,
something.
On good occasions, I managed to get congregations to do it.
Right.
As well as a small group, obviously, to learn some new steps and new dances and develop it a bit. But yes, I've done workshops and day workshops as well. And I've been kind of keeping an eye to see if there's anything locally, and there doesn't seem to be. So, but whether I've got to start it myself, I don't know.
Well,
I would love to introduce anybody to it.
Yeah,
it's great. It's great.
Well, I wonder. It's going through my mind whether there might be opportunity in St Mary's for circle dancing.
I'd be happy to anytime. We'll do a workshop with people or something, just to introduce people to it.
Well, that sounds a lovely idea. Yeah, good. Peggy, we've, believe it or not, reached the end of our allotted time, I think. So we must draw things to a close. It's been lovely to hear of your transition into retirement and all the things you're doing and all the new and exciting things that you think God will lead you into. Is there anything by way of closing that you'd like to leave with us? Or do you feel you've said lots of good things by way of introduction?
Probably said it all. I have an ongoing passion for women's ministry, women's lives, women's experience. I'm a seroptimist. Seroptimist clubs, it's worldwide actually. But I've joined in Cardiff, and now I belong to the Salisbury Club, and they've been doing a lot of stuff. Partly about charting women in Salisbury, famous women and women who've done extraordinary things in Salisbury. Partly to work supporting the refuge in Salisbury, and this ongoing campaign to see domestic violence ended, and women in ministry. So I think women in the church, the women's experience in the church is very akin to women's experience in society. So I'll always keep an ear open for that.
Great. It brings to mind a lovely image, Peggy, when you mentioned Salisbury, the Elizabeth Frink statue of a very strong Mary.
Absolutely, it's lovely.
Travelling out into the city to be concerned with the world.
It's very important. Striding.
Absolutely.
On the move.
Absolutely. Well, It's been lovely to talk to you, Peggy. Thank you so much for sharing what you have, and I'm sure people listening will be fascinated, and we'll look forward to getting to know you better in the coming months here in Fordingbridge. Thank you very much indeed, Peggy.
Well, thank you very much for the chance.